What is up, you guys? I'm Camille, and welcome back to Make Your Own Luck, the podcast. Or welcome if it's your first time. Thanks for joining. We're really excited about today's episode. You may notice that it's just me. Evan is traveling for work. I think that's a very important part of the podcast too, that me and Evan are still, we're still working hard. We still both have jobs. I wish we could sit around and podcast all the time, but we're just not there yet. So sometimes you might just get one of us. You never know. Anyway, I'm rolling solo. Today's episode is with Andy Atkins of Bad Luck Burger Club. If you live in Nashville, you've probably heard of Bad Luck Burger Club or seen their truck rolling around town. And if not, they're still a really fun business to follow along with. Andy and Cody started Bad Luck Burger Club a couple of years ago. Like a lot of people, just made a change of heart during the pandemic, and they've gone from slinging burgers in a tent to having a food truck, and they've just built this incredible culture. And I've seen them at events. They've done a ton of pop-ups outside of our shop in the shopping center where we have our storefront, and I just was really excited to hear the whole story and just to talk to Andy. Andy's such a genuine person. He's such a character. For no other reason, if you don't live here, you should still follow Bad Luck Burger Club on all their socials, because Andy is just a really fun dude. And it was a really great conversation, and we're really lucky that he took some time out of his busy schedule to hang out with us. So without further ado, here's Andy Atkins of Bad Luck Burger Club. All right, welcome back to Make Your Own Luck, the podcast. Today we have, I would say it's a party, because our guest, Andy Atkins, knows how to party.
Love to party, dude. Life is a party.
In addition to being an expert partier, he is the co-founder of the Bad Luck Burger Club here in Nashville, which I would describe as the best burger in town.
Dude, thanks.
I
would describe it as that as well.
I think that's what owning a business means. You gotta
you got to.
Yeah, you gotta be your best hype man.
Because I don't want to tell everybody somebody else has got a better burger than me, and then they're just gonna go eat there.
Yeah, but you are a really nice guy, so I could see you you give other people props.
For sure.
But you gotta take ownership that you guys got the best burger in town.
Definitely. I'm a firm believer that the high tides raise all ships thing.
Yeah.
So there's a cool burger scene in town. There's a lot of people right around the same exact time that we started making cheeseburgers in town. There are 3 or 4 other dudes that started doing it as well. Who knows who did it first, but it doesn't really matter. We're all feeding ourselves and paying our bills. And as long as I can still pay my bills and Cole from Dream Burger can pay his bills, we're all doing sick. So when people come ask me about other burgers, I'm like, yo, go try all these other dudes, and I give them the list, Cause
do a whole tour.
Yeah. What's good for me is what's good for all of us, I
love that. So you are, obviously you have not been making food your whole life. This is kind of a new venture.
Yeah, for sure.
So just walk us through what was the sort of the first lightning bolt moment that you were like, I think I want to start a burger concept.
Dude, it just fell into it. I was in the music industry forever, both as an artist and then worked in production, and COVID hit, and everybody's just at home. You're just bored doing the whole thing. It's a longer story, but I left my job, right at the beginning of the pandemic, and was throwing darts to see what happens.
Now, when you left that job, was it because of the pandemic? Were you already sort of thinking maybe there was going to be a little bit of a change, or what kind of was that spark like?
The pandemic, for sure did it. I didn't enjoy being in live entertainment and production anymore, but I was making the most money I'd ever made in my life. It was the first it was the most career-driven thing I'd ever had in my life, where it's if I follow this path, I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to have this much money. And it just made sense. And it's what I did. But I also was miserable. And I'm the dude that that's just like, that guy. That's me natural. And then like for a pretty long period of time, I got into this like dark depressive state, and like there's more things I need to work on within myself, but a good bit of it was what I was doing professionally and just being away from home all the time, and not getting a soak into my relationship with my wife and all of that. But I probably would have never left my job, because I'm a dude that's just like head down, work hard, like just do what you got to do. Like, I pride myself in like crazy work ethic and just people knowing that like I'm a hard worker. So that was the guy that I portrayed myself. And I was just like, not gonna like lose or fail, like whatever that thing I was doing. It was toxic, but anyway, like I was working and the pandemic hit, and it was the only way out. It was the only, like, I can either leave now, because what happened basically is the company I work for, we had 49 employees. We laid off everybody all the way down to 12 people, and I was like the very bottom of the food chain. Like,
you just made the cut off.
Just made the cut. Like, I was a manager of my department, and like I laid off the dude that was right underneath me, my assistant manager. And like later in that day, and I took a pay cut. Like the whole company decided, like, this is what we got to do to continue being a company. Lay off all these people. All the people that are still here are going to take a huge pay cut, and we'll weather the storm. And I was just like, dude, all of this sounds so awful, And I like called Rachel and I said, hey, like, I'm thinking about leaving. I'm thinking about like just telling them that I don't want to be here anymore. Like, are you okay with that? Can we figure this out? And she goes, dude, get out of there. You're miserable. So I called the dude back that I'd laid off and said, hey, do you want my job? And he said, yes. And I said, okay. And I went to my boss and said, hey, I'm giving Zach this job and I'm going to leave.
Man, I mean, good on you. That's a really hard move to make. Number one, to leave, but number two, to have the foresight to be like, I just laid all these people off. They'd probably be much better off. I'm just going to get one of them back.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not something that a lot of people would even think about in the process of sorting out a situation like that, where literally you're about to make one of the biggest changes probably you've ever made in your life.
For sure.
And you're able to think like, how can I make this work for everybody,
Yeah, it's all about, the whole vibe is everybody take care. My whole thing has always been everybody take care of each other and be nice and kind to each other, and hopefully we're all going to get through it, whatever the thing is. And so I left with no plan other than like, I literally had maybe like $10,000 to my name, like in my savings account, and was like, I'm just gonna figure out what's next, And so like, I'm just lucky enough that like, if everything fails, I'm the kind of dude that would go get a job at Walmart and like stock shelves and work really hard at it. Like, I'm not above doing that.
Be the most fun, awesome stock person Walmart had ever seen.
Let's have a good time. So like, I was like, at least I know that my work ethic will allow me to go get any other job that I got to go get. And I think I have enough skills to get me something better than that, but I'm not above anything.
Yeah.
And so I just started like hanging out, and like I built a deck at my house, and I put a YouTube video up, and people were like, hey, come build us some decks. So like, me and my buddy Colby put like decks and patios up all over town. There's like really killer restaurants that have some stuff that I built, that like Dino's, their overhang patio thing. Me and Colby Landis built. Locust, we built their patio. Like a bunch of cool stuff.
Yeah. Were you at all thinking like that could be the next thing?
I realized that would probably be the quickest way to more money than what I'm doing now. But I don't want to do like crazy, shitty manual labor forever.
Right.
And that's all that would have been, So I did some of that, and then like I messed around on YouTube and started a YouTube channel and like started making incremental money there. And then I started making cheeseburgers at home. Like one of my really good friends, Blake, started making cheeseburgers at his house one day and was like, hey, come over and let's make cheeseburgers. And I was there and I was like, dude, I think I could do this better. I think I could figure out how to do it. And I like bought a griddle and started making cheeseburgers at home. just for fun. And then like people will come over and eat cheese. It's like right during the pandemic where nobody can hang out together.
Yeah.
And you can only be outside with like 2 or 3 people.
Right.
So like I got a griddle and we'd invite 2 or 3 people over and we'd have burgers in my backyard. And that just continually happened and grew to where like Cody, like south of town, has a group of friends, and we're like mirroring each other's lives in the fact that we both got a griddle and both really got into making cheeseburgers.
And Cody's your co-founder, just for anyone
correct.
Who doesn't know the full
Cody
story.
Driggers. And he like, so we're friends, but not like close friends at the time. And like, he's like, yo, dude, I see on Instagram that you're making cheeseburgers. I'm making cheeseburgers too. Let's hang out. So we got together and we started like making cheeseburgers all the time. And before you know it, we just got obsessed. And it was never like hey, let's start a business.
Yeah.
It was like, we're bored. Let's go set up in some parking lots and try to sell some cheeseburgers to people. Did
either of you have like a go-to recipe, or were you just trying stuff out as you went, like, you know, from zero?
Cody is way more culinary skilled than me and way more, he just enjoys like putting together new flavors and all that stuff. So like when all this was going on, Cody had started developing like a lot of the special burgers that we do. Like those are like Cody's burgers that he's like been playing with for a couple years.
Yeah.
The main Bad Love burger that we do pretty much like is very, very similar to the very first cheeseburger I ever made in my house. It was just like double meat, double cheese. I knew I wanted to grilled onions and pickles, and then I like mixed together some stuff and made a sauce. And like that is the cheeseburger we serve today.
Yeah.
Like pretty much the very first one I ever did at my house. Other than we went through probably like 2 weeks of sauce. Like we were like, oh, let's go through sauces and try to like see if we can change it. And did this huge circle all the way back.
You just came back to the original
just the original sauce, pretty much.
Yeah. I mean, I think the thing that's so special about the burger that you guys make, for me, I'm not a big fan of like a super thick burger. I love the thin, the smash, the lacy. Like, I feel like there's something just, you wouldn't think, it's like different kinds of pizza, you know?
Yeah,
there's
sure.
Like deep dish, New York style, you know, obviously New York style.
Yeah,
like,
you love it.
Or Jersey style, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, I think that's what makes it so great is you can have 2 patties and you don't feel like you're destroying yourself. It's like, it's just a good burger.
Yeah, dude, like I've never been a burger dude before this. That's
Really?
What's crazy is like when you go to a restaurant, I mean like when you tour, you always hit up In-N-Out because In-N-Out rules. Like, you know, there's those little things where like Matt's Bar in Minneapolis does the Juicy
Lucy, yeah.
And I love that. Like, there's a few of those, but like when you go to like Logan's Roadhouse or, you know, one of those places where it's got like a big menu of a bunch of shit.
Yeah.
The burger's never the thing that I choose.
Right.
You know, like, or even if I were to go to like Wendy's, spicy chicken sandwich. That's the thing I've always gotten there. Always.
You're going off brand.
So like I've never been a burger dude until like I was like trying to make the perfect burger. Now like I like cheeseburgers. I like our cheeseburger. I still don't go all over town ordering burgers, but I don't know. It's weird. It's like a weird thing that sometimes I just get mildly obsessed with something.
Yep.
You know, and I've never been a guy that wants to be like master something to perfection. I like inconsistency a little bit and like, and there's always room to grow, you know, you're never going to be perfect. But I've always just been like, kind of like get really interested in something, get good enough to do that thing, like kind of decent and then move on to do something else, you know? So I have this thing in my, like this burger thing. I've done like 1 million times. It's just I haven't ever done it as a business.
Right.
You know?
But this one, I mean, it feels like, you know, you guys, I think one of the really cool things about what I see of Bad Luck Burger Club is, you know, I feel like with someone with your personality, you could be doing anything. It happens to be that you're making burgers, but I think what you and Cody are doing is bringing a personality and like a lifestyle to burgers.
For sure.
Yeah, and it's like you could bring that to, I don't know, clothing or cookies. Burgers obviously are a great medium and you guys have done a great job for it. But I think the thing that I see about what you're doing is the culture. Like there is a very specific, I mean, you guys welcome everybody, but seems like there's like a very specific brand of like the kind of people that want to come get a bad luck burger.
Yeah. I mean, it's neat where it started and what it's rooted in and where it is now. Like, I mean, our very first like thing we ever did, like quote unquote professionally, like to try to get this thing off the ground is like we threw a party right in the middle of like the height of COVID in Cody's front yard, and we had a Calendly set up, and you could come in, you could set up a time to come pick up a burger from us in Cody's front yard. You could only be there for 10 minutes because we didn't want we didn't want to have a super spreader.
Yeah.
So like, come get your burger, get out. You got to have a mask on, all that stuff. And like, we gave away like 80 cheeseburgers for free. And the whole goal was show up, like eat your burger, let us know what you think about it, leave us a comment, and you have to post a picture and put it on Instagram.
Right.
And like, we're just lucky that we got a bunch of cool tattooed, like, that thing friends, And so like wherever the cool tattoo kids are and posting pictures about, everybody else wants to learn about it,
Yeah.
So like right off the bat, that was like the immediate culture that we had was like the cool kid, the East Nashville vibe, that whole thing. And that's like our core demographic, but like it's been very cool to see it grow outside of that to where like you start seeing, there's a dude that drives not a Maserati, a McLaren that comes and eats our burgers all the time. This crazy rich dude, and like families and like, like grandparents that bring their kids like every week. And it's the same, like,
yeah.
And it's just like, this sounds crazy, but like, I remember, we have this very like white, 30-year-old like tattoo kid thing that we,
Right.
And then the very first time that it was like, oh, we have something more than that, was like this guy Thomas that comes out all the time. He's a black dude that's probably in his 50s. He got out of an Uber at Lucky's 3-star bar and came to our tent, and like he got in an Uber somewhere wherever he lived and came to eat our burger and then leave. And I was like, we've surpassed this thing, like this little subculture thing that was like ours. It's now we're reaching other demographics and other people, and like our whole vibe of all are welcome is actually really happening now.
Yeah.
Which is cool because like, I don't want to be this gatekeeper, cool, like hardcore kid that only lets the hardcore kids come eat our food. And it's been really amazing just to see like that progression to where like all races and ethnicities and wealth classes and stuff just come eat our food like we're a real restaurant.
Well, it's funny because a lot of businesses, I think that they sort of preach that mindset and they say all are welcome, but still sometimes culturally it just doesn't transcend. You can say anyone can come eat our food, but you can still go to a place and it's like a very specific type of person that's there. And I think it's always, that's kind of a mark of like, okay, we're doing something right, that, other people are coming and finding out about it. I feel that way very much with my business. When I started out, I still to this day, when I see people wearing NB Goods hats and t-shirts, I assume that somehow I know them. Because I think, oh, well, only my friends spend money at my store. Like I still can't believe that strangers buy things from me.
Yeah,
and
it's wild.
So it's just like this funny realization that you have. I think especially when, when you're not setting out to be like an entrepreneur, that was something that was never in my mind. And it sounds like, you had a different career path. And I think some people have in their mind, like, I want to do this thing. I want to build a business. I want to build a brand or whatever. And they see this 5, 10, 15-year plan. I never went to business school. I don't know what that looks like. And so I never had those expectations. And so it still blows my mind that you know, I get the kind of support that I get. And it sounds like you guys are pretty similar in that way.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we've made up every step of the way. You know, like we're in this crazy spot right now where like we need to formulate a business plan, like both in our heads and on paper.
Yeah.
Like we never operated with like a plan of like, what are we trying to execute? It was just like, oh, we're making cheeseburgers. Then we started selling cheeseburgers. And then like 9 months down the road, it's like, oh, we're doing this so much. Like, Cody, you probably need to quit your job if we want to keep doing it.
Oh, so Cody was still working.
Cody had a job. Cody, like that whole first 2021, like our first one ever was like May 1st, 2021.
Yeah. And
December 21st of like 2021, we did a pop-up and the health department showed up because we were like, none of this is legal. Zero of it's legal. We're just figuring it out. We're just partying, dude. Like, and the health department shows up and goes, and there's a line of like, I'm not exaggerating. You remember those lines?
Yeah.
Like this one particular, we were like, hey, this is the last one we're doing this year, and we're not going to do another one for a couple months. So there was a line of at least 150 people, like at the East Nashville Farmers Market, waiting to get cheeseburgers. And the health department showed up and was like, this is illegal. You can't do this. We're not going to shut you down because we're not going to make 150 people sad and mad at us.
Oh, yeah.
But this is it. You're on our radar. Come into our office and have a conversation with us. Let's figure this out.
And were you guys just freaking out?
Yeah, it was like, it was heavy, you know, but we knew like eventually we had to like, you know, something had to change.
Yeah.
And we just really didn't know what we were doing. We were like, are we going to buy a food truck and are we going to do this?
So, because at that point you guys were still in, well, you went from 1 tent to 2 tents.
Right. Had gotten a bigger tent and then like the operation was growing, but it was just like, still just making it up. And like, we knew what we were doing wasn't like in the guidelines of like what is okay with the health department, but like we were really like careful and paid attention to, you know, the temperatures of the meat and all this stuff, you know, like
you were doing all the things that you would have needed to anyway, but you just didn't have the piece of paper.
Yeah. And like, actually what's crazy is this is even a longer story, but they're like, now Rebecca and a few people around town are like fighting legislation to be able to do what we were doing. And like, I feel good that we were kind of like a part of like that all spurring off. Cause like so many people are trying to make a living doing what we were doing illegally. Yeah. But now that it's like, it's on the radar of everybody, it's like not cool to do right now.
Right. Right.
But yeah, Cody had a job. Cody was still working in merchandising. So he was working 40 hours a week. Then we were like prepping, you know, like crazy hours a week. I had no idea
he was still working 40 hours a week.
Yeah. And then we were doing our weekend stuff. And I was just like doing whatever. Like we were really not taking any money from the burger stuff. We were just building a bank account.
Yeah.
Trying to figure out what the next move was going to be with it. You know, if it all ended, then we would just take the money and be like, oh, that was a cool summer.
Right.
Or like we have this bank account full of money that we can make our next move with. And so Cody was working. I was like building decks and YouTube and like honestly doing a ton of Burger Club work, like just pro bono. You know, like if Cody's got to work a 40-hour-a-week job, then I'm just going to do all of this Burger Club stuff because like I believe that it's going to be the thing. I saw like out of decks and motorcycles and YouTube and all the things I was doing, burgers was a thing that was probably going to be the most enjoyable and maybe the most profitable if we really did it right.
Yeah. And sustainable.
Yeah. So like all the eggs went into that basket. I kind of just like stopped doing all the other stuff. Cody was still working. And then we landed a kitchen residency at Lakeside Lounge, which is a bar here in Nashville, for like 3 months. And that started like January of 2022. Mm-hmm. And that gave us time to figure out our life. Like, what's the next plan? Like, so Cody left his job. We started working there 3 days a week, 2 or 3 days a week. And like, all the rest of the week, we bought a food truck, and the week we spent working on the food truck, getting it ready. The weekend serving at Lakeside Lounge. The week working on the food truck, and just back and forth, and like nonstop till like April. We finally were able to like sell burgers out of our food truck.
Yeah. And was that the moment, like when you guys decided that you were going to get the truck and kind of go all in, was that the moment that you were like, okay, this is like a thing, like we're going to take this as far as we can, or had you always felt that way?
It was, I probably got to it a little quicker than Cody did, like, cause I needed it to be the thing. Right. Cody like had a job. He was comfortable. He had a job that he liked. He didn't hate his job.
Yeah.
Like for him, it's just like, man, house, the thing where you want to be your own boss, but he worked for a friend, had a pretty good job, enjoyed his job, and was really good at his job. So it probably took him a little bit longer to like get to where I was. But we also kind of had this agreement that like, if I soak a lot of like pro bono time into trying to build this a little harder,
taking a little bit of that pressure off,
then like, I think by the time we need you to leave your job, you're going to be able to.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much what we did. Like Nathan Gifford gave us some, Nathan Gifford, he's the guy that owns Nathan Gifford's Bacon Shop. Gifford's Bacon. That's what it's called.
Yeah.
He gave us the advice that replace your paycheck. Figure out when you step out into your entrepreneur shit, just be making enough money to sustain the life that you're already living.
Yeah.
And like, it was actually harder for me to, like, I was making a good bit of money doing my thing. So like, I still probably don't make the money that I made then.
Yeah.
But like, we got to that level where like we're making the money that Cody was making, and he felt comfortable, and we're just like, okay, we're all in, dude.
Yeah. I think it's different too. I mean, obviously you have a partner in this, so there's like a little bit of different decision making. I feel like I was in a similar place that you were, where I was in a job that I was making the most money I'd ever made in my life, but I was just so unhappy, and it wasn't the job's fault, and the job was the job. I liked the people I worked with. It was just like a lot of things going on in my life. But to me, like you, I would go take any job. I'd go work at the Amazon warehouse. I go stock shelves, whatever. And so I was okay taking a step backwards financially, knowing that maybe I could be building something that would not only eventually get me to like the lifestyle that I had, but also just make me happy.
Yeah, for sure.
And so that was like for me, was a way bigger motivating factor. You know, it's like, yeah, when I started this business, I took on more debt than I'd ever had in my entire life, you know?
Yeah.
And it wasn't intentional, and I didn't want to go out and get some big loan or get investors. It was just like, it was a means to an end, you know?
For sure.
So I think that there's times in your life where you kind of make that decision. And luckily Cody was down to like hop on that ride the same way you were, which is cool.
It's, you know, the partner versus solo, but all of that has its pros and cons and stuff, you know, and like something that was kicking around in my brain even before Bad Luck started is like, I had already started this idea of trying to do like a burger pop-up, and had like solo branding. Like the branding was all on my face. It was like, had my name, like, and then me and Cody started hanging out, and we're like, Cody was like, dude, I want to do this. And weird, there's no way that the thing that I like had kind of started planning would be what Bad Luck is today. Like, I just like don't believe that one person could have built what we're doing as fast as we did.
Yeah.
You know, and I just see like, you know, other guys in town that are doing pop-ups and stuff. Like, I can see the limitations of like only having one person, you know. But then, you know, if maybe you hire people quicker and stuff like that, you got a little more money to work with, maybe because you're not splitting everything 50-50. I don't know. But like having Cody as my backbone and him and me as his, like, it's been really awesome to be able to support each other and lean on each other, and also help each other make good and bad decisions, you know. Like sometimes like I'll have some wild idea, and Cody's the dude that like there's Cody and Rachel are like the people that reel me back in.
Yeah.
Because I'm always just like shooting from the hip and just like, let's go, dude.
Yeah, you're like, burgers, like, this, that, let's do it.
Yeah, and they're like, calm it down, dude. Let's do this, And so Cody's really analytical and makes a lot of decisions based on like, I don't know, just calculated thoughts, and a lot of my stuff is just like throwing darts. And so somehow the dichotomy between us, like it builds a really cool foundation for what we're doing.
Yeah, I feel like too. I mean, it seems like things have been pretty off to the races for you guys, like from the beginning. Was there ever a time or a moment where you thought, maybe I should just go back to getting a job and working for somebody? Like, has that moment come ever?
I had a choice to make right about the exact same time that we got the food truck. I think we had bought the food truck, but we hadn't like got it all done and stuff. I started getting phone calls once like the gates opened back up and people were going on tour again.
Yeah.
I started getting a bunch of phone calls, but the only one I took kind of seriously was my buddy Courtney, who works for Brothers Osborne, called me and said, "Hey, man,
Courtney is a boy."
Yeah. He was like, "Hey, man, would you want to come on as our stage manager?" And that was like, I'd been carping, on tour, which is like, for those that don't know, that's the dude that comes in and builds the stage and leads people out to build a stage. And that's like a heavy, hard, like grunt work,
Yeah.
And like that being the stage manager is like the next step, like it would have been the next move to like, a better future, and it would have been quicker money faster.
Right.
If I would have done that job, I instantly would have been making quite a bit more money than I was making doing burgers.
And it's a very like natural progression from what you were doing.
Right.
Like if this was all just like a blip on the radar, a pandemic thing, that would have been like it would put you right back on the career path.
Would just been like, okay, I'm back. Let's go. Learn like one or two new skills and keep going. You know, and so I had to really think about that for a second. But like, I had also it would have been a step forward in touring, but a step backwards in my career too, because I'd already toured and then came off the road, and I was a manager at Gallagher Staging.
Okay.
So I was just like a dude sending gear and guys out on the road.
Right.
Which
is kind of what, some people love to tour their whole lives, but a lot of people, the goal is after you've been doing it for a while, you come home and you get a gig like that.
Yeah. And so it was like, I don't know, it was like kind of a 2 steps forward, 1 step backwards almost,
Yep.
And I was like, oh, do I hate the career path I'm in, or do I hate the company I work for? Right. Or like whatever, and Rachel was like, dude, this is not going to make you happy. Yeah. I know you. I know all the shit you've complained about for the past 10 years.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to be happy doing this. Don't go do it. And I was like, you're right. And that was like, it was like a 24-hour thing where I was like, oh no, what do I do?
Yeah. Well, it's hard when you come from a world of stability of like a job and a paycheck, and then you do the entrepreneur thing. It is hard, and you go through these moments, and sometimes when you get that shiny opportunity to get like a regular paycheck and, maybe a little bit of, touring jobs don't usually have healthcare, but like any sort of stability that you can get back, it's kind of, you do have to like really stop and think about it for a minute.
For sure. And during that whole time frame, like of leaving Gallagher in production and to today, like, I said, I left Gallagher with about $10,000 in my savings account. I spent all of that $10,000 and went $10,000 in credit card debt. So I lost $20,000 in like a year and a half, just like surviving, trying to make it all make sense. And have since like paid off all that debt and gained that money back in my account. But like, so like pretty much went one way, 20 grand and back all in like 2 years. Oh. And it's like really heavy when you're like in the midst of all that, just watching the clicker,
Just
you know,
watching it
this
go
one
down.
going down and then the debt one going up, and you're just like, oh no, what do I do?
Yeah.
You know, but you believe in the thing you're doing, and you're like, okay, I don't know when I turn this, you know, when do I stop the bleeding and go get a job?
That's such an intuition thing, I think, because when I think about the money that I spent and you're living on that, you're just like on that razor thin line of like, if one thing happens, I'm really going to be in trouble financially.
Yeah.
But you believe in it. But if I saw someone else doing it, I would be like,
what are you doing?
What are you doing? That is a terrible idea.
Yeah.
You are playing with fire, dude, you know? But you just, I know, and there's a lot of people that say, I know that this is going to be good or I'm going to be successful, and then it still doesn't end up working out. But I don't know why. I just feel like a lot of people that I'm friends with that have started businesses, you know, like yours, like myself, you just know, you know, you really know, and you're getting real validation. It's not like a delusional thing where you're like, I have the best thing in the world, but you're not actually making any money.
Right.
You guys were seeing growth. You were seeing actual traction. And I think that is more of a marker than just like, I know I have the best burger in Nashville, you know?
Sure. Yeah. If you're just, I got a really great burger, but the only people eating there are me and my wife at home on my deck, you know?
Yeah. Especially in a city like Nashville, I feel like, you know, it's the same thing with like songwriters. You know, there's a lot of people that can write an amazing song in Nashville. There's a lot of people that can sing their asses off in Nashville. But that's not the marker. Not all those people get to be successful, you know? And so it's about like, what is that extra thing that, you know, makes you stand out, or that you're willing to do, or that just, you know, some people just have that juju. And I think that it's a really special thing when you have it. And I have a buddy who you know, I always used to say that when I quit my job, I was the same way as you. I had enough money, you know, saved up for a couple months, and I was very fortunate to be able to do that. And almost there's like a little bit of guilt that comes with it, especially during the pandemic, because like so many people were going through such a hard time, and they're, you know, you're losing people, and people are losing jobs and monies, and families are breaking up. You know, but for me, it was a time of growth and change, and being able to sit still and not have to think about work or what was going to happen was what allowed me to build this business, much like you. But yeah, I mean, I carried a lot of guilt about that for a long time. But I had a buddy who was like, the thing is, if you have an opportunity like that, you have to honor it. You know, you shouldn't have guilt about it. That's your duty. Like, not a lot of people get this opportunity and get this chance, and you have to honor it by like following through with it.
For sure. Because I mean, there's so many people that, you know, would kill to like be in that position or to have that, you know, like there's so many dreamers out there that are really dreamers and I used to call myself a dreamer, not a doer. And you know, I'd wear it like as a badge, and then I was like, man, that's a bummer, you know, like, just fucking do it,
just do
you know,
it.
like, and if the opportunity presents itself, you know, at least try, you know, like, we can all like, you can always, I grew up, I want to preface this before, because a lot of people are like, oh, it might sound like we're in a bubble because we seem to be doing okay or whatever. But like, I grew up trailer park trash. Like, I know true, like, American poverty. Like, I know that, like the depths of it. So with that being said, I had to do everything I have in my life. I worked for, got to where I am now, and I know the steps it took. So I know that I'm never going to let myself get there again.
Yeah.
But if I do, I know the steps to get out of it. So like, I'm not scared to make some rash, crazy decisions with money.
Yeah.
Because I know that you can lose money and you can get it again if you're willing to work for it.
Right.
You know? And so I think a lot of people are really fearful of, you know, poverty and being poor and not having money. And I understand that. But if you've already been there and you know that it's really not that bad, you know, you can get out of it, you know, and there's extenuating circumstances of like, drug addiction or, handicap or what, there's all these things that some people deal with that I'm not dealing with.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But like, if you're an able-bodied American that like can physically work and can physically think, mentally think, then you can like do it.
Yeah.
You can at least like pay your bills.
I mean, I think that's you when you lose that element of fear, it's amazing what it does. I think a lot of times it's that old adage that like you don't have a plan B. Eventually you'll have to figure something out, but when you have like a very soft, cushy backup that you could just stick with, there's no reason to like make those big swings.
Yeah.
And I think when you either experience something or whatever it is that makes you realize you want to do something else, once you lose that fear, that's like I call it like the scariest thing that can happen, because a person who knows no fear is like unstoppable.
Yeah,
and
for
it's not like a renegade like crazy person kind of thing. It's just like you just start to have a different perspective on how you move and what your actions are, and I just think it changes everything.
For sure. That's kind of how like when you're talking about it, I'm thinking about like I'm a big motorcycle guy. I ride motorcycles, and I've been in a few motorcycle wrecks in my life, but one really gnarly one where I like got flown in a helicopter and stuff.
Wow.
And my wife, Rachel, rides, and she's never had, any issues. She rides with no fear, dude. She crushes.
Yeah.
She's like crushes most of the dudes I know that I ride with.
Yeah.
But I have been hurt on a motorcycle. So like I know the fear of like, leaning into a curve and like not coming out of it,
Yep.
So like there's that. Like Rachel's got no fear because she's got nothing that's tainted it,
Yep.
So there's that. It's awesome, to be able to just live fearless and just fucking crush. And
maybe that's why that No Fear brand was so popular in the 90s. Like they were really onto something.
Yeah, for sure.
So everything to this point, I feel like has been so organic and natural with you guys. Have there been any like holy shit moments, whether it's like, someone like a celebrity posting about you guys, or, just any like really favorite moments where you guys did an event and you're just like on cloud nine, or felt like it was like a really like an upward swing for everything?
Dude, for sure. I mean, like I remember it's funny to look back at it now, like now that we're just like a part of this food industry and everybody in the food industry just knows each other and comes and supports and eats each other's food. But like it was in y'all's parking lot at the shops, like Sean Brock came and like ate our cheeseburger, and then he came and started eating our cheeseburgers like every couple weeks, you know, and we're like, holy crap, like Sean Brock's like a celebrity chef and he thinks our cheeseburger's cool, like that was like a thing that was like really neat. Now it's like, oh, we just all know each other, to some degree, like we're not buddies, but I'm like, yeah, what's up, Sean?
Yeah.
And like, then like there's been like 2 or 3 like professional athletes that got like millions of followers that like come eat and like post a burger. And it's like, you just see that stuff. You see all these people with blue check mark. Now anybody can have a blue check mark, but like you see a blue check mark, you go to their profile and they're like, they got 700,000 followers and they just ate our cheeseburger. And you're just like, whoa, this is crazy,
Yeah.
That stuff's insane. We were like, the way we started and then the pandemic where like everybody was just thirsty for something.
Yeah.
Like wanted human interaction, and the only way you could do that and do anything is be outside. And we just like happened to be selling cheeseburgers in parking lots. So like that first year or so was like a roller coaster of just like, not even, it was like just it was more like a rocket ship. I don't know. Like it was just like nonstop, pedal to the metal. Like we're going to the moon. It's just going so fast.
You guys, your following on social media was like, it was like lightning fast the way it grew.
Yeah, it was really wild. And like, at first you're just like, oh man, we are the shit.
Yeah.
Like we're the best ever.
Everyone loves us. Yeah.
And then like now, you know, a year removed and everything's kind of calmed down to like the world's kind of normal. Like you can see in the rear view that like everybody was just yearning for that. They were just yearning for hangs and food and community. And so like we just happened to start at the right place, right time.
Yeah.
And it was amazing. And now, you see, we sit up in your parking lot and it's like way more chill than it used to be. Like we'll sit there for like an hour without somebody getting a burger. And like, it's just like we're a normal, regular food truck now, but a sustainable business that like makes enough money to hit our bottom lines and keep growing and all of that. And we're still growing exponentially like in sales every quarter and every year. But it's just not as sexy and cool and wild as it was.
Well, I mean, it's still pretty cool, you know, but it's just not that like fever pitch that kind of happens in the beginning.
And so like now it's just like learning how to manage our expectations of like, oh, we used to just be like crazy, well, I'll sell out in like 2 hours. Hey, to just like now, okay, like let's figure out how we stay in a parking lot for 4 or 5 hours, be open 4 or 5 hours, always have meat, like never sell out early.
Yeah.
And it's boring sometimes, but it's like more sustainable. It's it's what a real restaurant, like that's the real food model of the world. But that whole beginning laid a foundation to where like, if you're a foodie or somebody that's really chasing like we just do a cheeseburger, but if you're chasing like a special thing in town, food wise, you probably know who we are now.
Yeah.
And like, whether you've come or not, like we're on your radar to show up. And so like that first couple years of chaos has allowed us to like have this foundation to just keep growing off of, which is sick.
So much of that beginning part was as a result of social media and like, just share. Like you said, you guys very intentionally set up basically like not influencer, but that's what it was, an influencer cheeseburger giveaway for people to post. Do you feel like that was a natural extension of like what you'd been doing on YouTube and those kind of things? Or was that like brand new territory?
Yeah, it was for sure just an extension of my everyday life. Like you kind of touched on it earlier, like maybe our culture and our vibe or my vibe and Cody's vibe, like the cheeseburger's just the avenue to get there or whatever, like I've always like since MySpace, like had like an affinity for the internet.
Okay.
And just like I've always like, I don't have any delusions of being some famous, like TikTok influencer or whatever, like whatever. I don't care about all that. But like, I love that the internet allows you to just reach anybody anywhere. And like, I am a character, like whatever I am, like is me. And like, there are some people in the world that like the vibe that I have, and it's not for everybody, but like, it's fun to put yourself out there and to connect with people and like, through DMs and emails and texts, both in Burger Club and my personals, like I have valid, real relationships with people all over the world.
Yeah.
That, like little conversation, just commenting back and forth and like, or learn something about somebody that you don't, like I just crave community and connection with people. Like I usually when I meet somebody like out in public, like I usually ask some pretty intense, like meaningful conversation questions pretty quick.
Yeah.
Like within like, hey, what's up? What's your name? And then like, well, what are you passionate about? You're my server at this restaurant, but like what gets you out of bed in the morning, And I love that cheeseburgers and motorcycles and me used to be in a band just allow me to be able to have those kind of conversations with people.
Yeah.
And I really hope at the end of the day, all that any of this has ever done is just like put a smile on somebody's face and make them feel loved and wanted and valuable and important to the world. Because like in a way, heavy existential way, I didn't feel that way growing up.
Yeah.
So like, I want to give that to people every day. And so cheeseburgers is how I do that right now.
Yeah. I mean, I think one of the most special things about getting to know you and hearing your story is that you're genuine. You know, when you ask somebody those questions, like you can see in your eyes that you really want to know. You're not just putting on a show. And I think with social media these days, we have such weird parasocial relationships with people. And I think when someone meets you in person and you are exactly what you present on the internet, I think that means something to someone, because, you know, everybody's going to have, it's like a volume. Like, you know, you have a volume. You can turn it all the way up and you can turn it down. But for the most part, you are who you are, and all of this is an extension of you. I think when people meet someone in person and they're just the exact opposite, or you can tell that that's like a full on, not even a character, it's like a caricature. Like that is when like I think that it starts to like crack the shell a little bit. So I think when people come and they get a burger and you guys are up there like just doing the thing and having fun and being kind, I mean, that's got to be, you know, that's a reason why you're sticking around, you know.
For sure. I mean, I hope, you know, I don't know if people just want a greasy, slutty cheeseburger or if they're coming for the vibe, you know, like whatever it is, you know. At the end of the day, also, we want to pay our bills doing this thing. But like I said, truly, like, I just truly care about people. So like, as much as I can, I'm always on the griddle, but I try to turn around and interact with people and say what's up. And that's a thing that we're trying to instill right now. Like, we have Ed, who is our only employee, but like, we're about to start looking at other employees. And the fear is once we're off the truck, you know, then that vibe doesn't exist anymore. You know, we could find an insane line cook that's amazing.
Yeah.
But like, if they're just a crazy good line cook that can't turn around and say, yo, what's up? How are you doing? You know, like, how's your day? Your hat looks sick.
Yeah.
You know, like, if they don't have that, that's part of the job.
Yeah.
You know, like, that's, and that sounds cringy saying it that way. That's part of the job. Like, it's part of like this, the type of people we want.
You've built a culture. Yeah. You want to honor that culture, and you know, you guys can't be the ones doing it all the time. At some point, as you grow, you have to make those changes. And like, yeah, you've built a brand, and you know, you have to hire people that are an extension of that in some way.
It's terrifying.
Yeah.
At least we did good with Ed. Ed's sick.
Ed's great.
Yeah. He's sick,
I feel like when I see Ed up there on the truck, like, it's just, he's one of, like, I don't really remember what it's like not having Ed around.
Cool.
Like, he just totally fits in, and I think that's so cool. It's really cool. So we talked, I mean, honestly, you have worked your ass off your entire life, but we also, you know, have seen that like the pandemic and some of the circumstances of what your life has been like has sort of put you in this position. So what do you think about the idea of luck? You know, do you think that you got lucky? Do you think that you worked really hard and then there's like a little bit of right place, right time? You know, how do you feel it all came together for you guys?
Man, so what's the phrase where it's like preparation meets opportunity?
That's our like theme.
I definitely agree in that, but like, also, I don't really know that you have to be prepared. Like, I mean, I'm all about trying to be prepared and be organized and be like, have all your shit together. But like, I am a dude that's everything I've ever done in my life is just like stepping out and taking a leap, even when I know how to do something or not.
Yeah.
I've took multiple jobs in my life where I didn't know how to do the job. I just got the interview, you know, and I've, all through the pandemic, I was doing all kinds of stuff that I didn't know the skill, like building all the stuff around town. I was at home looking at YouTube the night before, figuring out how to do certain angles and stuff, you know? So like, it is opportunity, like opportunity's got to present itself, but you just got to go out and find it. I think work ethic is important, and maybe more important than anything when luck is involved, because if you're not willing to shovel shit, work hard, do stuff you don't want to do to get the experience you need and to get the outcome that you are looking for, then you're not going to have anything. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So yeah, I think being prepared is important, but I think even if you're not prepared, you can just try really hard and learn how to do all the stuff that you want to do.
Yeah.
And get yourself where you want to be. But, you know, I have to go back to, I understand there are some people with extenuating circumstances that just don't get the shots that we all get, you know, what area of town you were born in, what town you were born in. Like, there's so many things that can be against a person.
Yeah.
But as a white male in America has it pretty good, right?
Right. Good
compared to
point.
most people in the world. Thing I like to say is, for a white male, I probably started as low as you can start, where I did.
Yeah.
And like I'm living like middle class American life now, and like comfortable and happy. And I just took all the opportunities that were thrown my way and worked really, really hard to make them successful.
You're like a real life Jason Isbell song.
Yeah, dude, come on. I was just listening to Jason Isbell yesterday.
Yeah, that's how it goes.
Yeah.
I think I think you're doing great. I've loved getting to know you. I've loved eating the burgers, and I'm super stoked for you guys, and like really excited to see whatever's coming next for Bad Luck Burger Club.
Hell yeah, dude. You too. I mean, you're like you're an inspiration. You know, like that's a whole nother part of all of this, is like us seeing all the other people in town that are like chasing their dreams and doing really cool stuff. And like, what I think is cool is I've been in this city over 20 years now. And just in the past 3 years, this has allowed me to have relationships with so many other small business entrepreneurs, and like learn from each other, and like just watch each other grow. Yeah. And it's amazing. It's like really cool to be able to be a part of any and all of that. And the fact that anybody thinks we're successful when we're watching everybody else just crush it is sick.
That's amazing.
You know? Yeah.
Well, I want you to tell the people where they can find Bad Luck Burger Club, and also where they can find you and your personal ventures online, in person, whatever you got.
Dude, you know, first and foremost, Bad Luck Burger Club, badluckburger.club is the website. Bad Luck Burger Club on Instagram. I think, you know, our Instagram page has got to be, I think it's worth following, whether you like cheeseburgers or whether you live in Nashville.
I would agree.
If anything I've said has sparked anything in you, whether it's humor or inspiration, I'm on that page a lot, and I'm on my personal page, Party On Forever and Party On for Andy. And that, you know, as a side note, I think the older we get, the more like cynical and depressed and angry and sad we become. And shouldn't it be the very opposite? And the more we grow, we learn how to be happier and party and just be fucking stoked.
Hell yeah.
And so that's my whole vibe. It's like, let's figure out what makes us happy and chase that forever and keep doing it and party on forever.
That is it. I don't think we ever even need to do another podcast. Like, yeah. I think you just nailed it.
I was better at that part than the luck question.
Well, we'll put all your socials up. I think anybody with a heartbeat would love to follow Bad Luck Burger Club and all of your Andy adventures. This has been awesome, man. Thanks for doing it.
Heck yeah, dude. Thanks for having me. Tell Evan that he really missed out.
Yeah. We didn't really talk about how Evan's not here. He's Evan's on the road this week doing his real job because he's on that grind also, and we miss him. But this has been great. So everybody say bye to Andy, and we'll see you guys soon.
Peace out. MB Goods.
All right. I think that was a great conversation. It's weird that I'm just here and I'm telling you what I think, because I was there for the conversation and I still think it was great. But I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. If you like what we're doing here, you enjoy the conversation, please follow along, subscribe. We're on every major podcast platform, Spotify, Apple, iHeart, wherever you like to get your podcast fix. follow along. We're also on social media at Make Your Own Luck Pod on Instagram. We've got the website, makeyourownluckpod.com. Just come hang out with us, and we'd love to hear from you. Let us know what you thought about our conversation with Andy, and let us know if you go out and grab a Bad Luck Burger. You know, we want a commission of the sales, so we're gonna have to follow up with Andy about that. No, I'm just kidding. We want everybody to go see those guys, and we really wish them the best because it's a really cool thing that we're doing, and we're lucky to know them. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time. Hopefully Evan will be back. Who knows, though? You never really know with him. See you guys.